Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World Daily with me, John Jordan. So today we're looking at Champions Ascension, which is the forthcoming blockchain game from Jam City. Jam City is a free-to-play mobile publisher in the US, fairly sizable sort of company. Does a lot of sort of kind of free-to-play games. There's a Harry Potter game that's done very well. Does a whole bunch of match 3 games. Also is part of a company called Ludia, who actually Jam City bought recently. They do some Jurassic Park sort of location-based games. So very free-to-play mobile. And these guys are heading, at least in terms of this project's Champions Ascension, heading quite heavily into blockchain. It was announced a couple of weeks ago. We're still sort of looking at a lot of details to be forthcoming. But they've just done just released this on their Medium page, which is a bit more about sort of the timescale and the sort of drop. So as far as I can make out, this is going to be sort of NFTs dropping on Ethereum. Still not entirely sure about that in terms of Ethereum, but that seems to be sort of what I've sort of read between the lines on. And this is a sort of game where you get these NFTs. There's obviously different sort of layers of NFTs. This is what we're talking about here is sort of the first Genesis NFTs. I can't remember the exact term they use for them. We'll get to that. But there's going to be these sort of high-end NFTs, sort of founders token sort of thing, and then there'll be these sort of cheaper ones, and probably be free to play, I imagine. So there'll probably be sort of non-blockchain characters you can play as well. Anyway, this is the roadmap and what they are planning to do. So currently working on a whitelist. So whitelist just means that if you're on the whitelist, it means you are sort of pre-approved in order to mint these NFTs when they become available. Stops bots coming in and buying them all up. Private sale. So that basically means sort of special people. I guess people on the whitelist, they will sort of get first dibs at the first 2,000. And yeah, they're calling them Prime Eternals. So basically Genesis drops is going to be called Prime Eternals. That's what the game sort of characteristic is called for these characters. Maximum of 1 Prime Eternal per person. I guess they mean wallet there because they can't tell. But that's what they're aiming for, at least. So they're basically going to try and sell, they try and get as wide a distribution as possible of these NFTs. So hopefully they're going to get these 2,000 people, not 2 people with 1,000 wallets. So that's the private sale, and then there's a public sale where we have 7,500, and those are 500 for promotional purposes, so given away, and then the other 7,000 will be more like sort of just go on a sort of a non-whitelist basis, I suppose. And potentially you have bots going in there at that stage, but we're currently here. We're currently creating their whitelist. If you want to go and get on that whitelist, best place to go is the Discord and find out the details there. So often that's how people sort of divvy up whitelists. Obviously you have their community and people are doing stuff, community moderating, and being active. I think there's various tasks you can do listed on the Discord that get you onto the whitelist. So what happens next? So once these Prime Eternals are dropped, you're going to get perks. So this is becoming very prevalent now that if you have an NFT, in order to stop you sort of selling it off, there's sort of a series of ongoing airdrops that are going to be given out. So we have this, we have tokens and staking. Again, this is all early 2022, but obviously sequentially. So quite what early means, this is later than the original drops. It's going to be tokens as staking rewards. So again, staking is a sort of a DeFi primitive where people can basically lock up maybe NFTs, maybe tokens when the tokens are released, and basically that stops the being so much circulating supply, and you get rewarded for that with more tokens. And then we have staking gameplay as well. So this is all sort of very early stage sort of stuff. Probably quite crypto heavy, quite sort of blockchain focused. They say so. Staking gameplay is going to be fairly simplistic, although maybe also fun and rewarding. So until we get to M3, that's when we get MVP, minimum viable product. That's basically the first bit of game that's sort of polished enough to be released and fun enough to be released. So we have these champion battles. So combat on these battlefields and dungeons, defeating monsters, bosses, other champions. So those are the people who've got the NFTs, and then they can start using them in terms of game mechanics. Then we have an Ascension feature here, so you can ascend your champions. That's why it's called Champions Ascension. So you're going to get these champions and you can sort of level them up. Clearly that's something we have in traditional games all the time. RPGs are basically created around the fact that you have a character and then you spend the next 100 hours leveling them up and buying better gear. And then it still says early 2022. I guess at this stage they're meaning maybe sort of I don't know, it still could be sort of Q2, I suppose. And then you can create new champions. So again, this is sort of a breeding mechanic. Again, this is I imagine this is something that will just be available for these Prime Eternals. So that's the value of having a Prime Eternal. You can basically create more NFTs. Maybe not on an infinite basis, but you'll be able to do that. Then we have mid 2022 now, battle modes, more battle modes. Then we have land. Obviously, every blockchain game has land. I'm not always sure that's a terribly great thing to do. I think you have to think quite carefully about land, but people love buying land. But I think you do have to think a bit how land feeds into the long-term sort of features you're trying to do. And I don't think land is appropriate for all games, but we will see anyway. Land's going to come in here. And again, typically with land, you allow people to do more DeFi type stuff. So we have earnings and staking and tokens and all that sort of stuff. And then one key thing for land is forging gear. So in sort of a year's time, you have land, and then you have as soon as you can have sort of crafting again, clearly a massive thing in RPGs. That opens up a whole bunch of new resources, materials, whatever that can be traded, have to be found, have to be collected. You have to have enough resources to do the crafting. And that sort of opens up different sort of career paths for people. Some people want to fight. Some people just want to collect materials and sell them. Some people want to collect materials and craft the sort of the gear that comes out of those, and then that probably have different rarity and people selling the gear. So we can sort of get a bit more of an idea, sort of the underlying economic sort of wheels in which the game is being based on. We still don't have an awful lot of sort of detail around sort of stuff which blockchain it is, because obviously that's a massive thing. You can do NFT drops on Ethereum mainnet, but you probably are not going to be doing a whole bunch of you can even do staking, I suppose, but that gas fees start to get a bit expensive for that. But certainly gameplay will either be centralized, or maybe you can do it through Polygon, who knows, or maybe by that stage people will be using layer 2s like ZK roll-up type stuff that's being worked on. So I mean, obviously this is a long way off, so we don't have to worry too much about what's happening in sort of 12 months time, or even 6 months time. But definitely this is the stuff happening. The early 2022 stuff is stuff that we expect to be pretty nailed down. So anyway, I guess call to action is, if you're interested in this project, whitelist is for the first 2,000 of these NFTs. So head over to Discord. Everyone else just, I guess, sort of wait around until the public sale, and I'm sure there will be other opportunities, because the whole thing about NFTs at the moment is they are very limited. So you have a few thousand people owning Bored Apes or whatever the sort of current PFP sort of avatar thing is. Clearly, games only work if you have millions of people. Jam City runs games with millions of people playing every day. So this is what I'm hoping the traditional games companies will bring to blockchain games is, that there'll still be the upper tier for the particular sort of people who can afford that and want that, but also we'll see a much sort of bigger sort of what we call widening of the pyramid. So the sort of scale of players now, which I guess we've seen with Axie Infinity to some degree as well. So anyway, thanks for watching. This is Blockchain Gaming World Daily, where we have our daily slice of what's going on, and there is plenty. So keep it here, subscribe to the channel. But thanks for watching, and see you again soon.